Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. I hope you're all staying safe and well. What I'll do is I'll lay the box down along one edge of my filming area and we'll take the parts out one at a time. Okay, let's take a look at the wing. That's a classic Lancaster wing. Yes, this is the HobbyKing Lancaster version 3. The other two versions have had problems with tip stalling at speed on banks turns.
Oh.
This one has been made much lighter, so therefore the wing loading is less, which means it should be okay and should not tip stall on turns. Very nice panelling. I'm definitely going to be using my popper dots on this one. Two motors, both installed. We'll take a look at the specifications before I carry on actually. Let's take a look at them now. So back to this wing. No flaps. It's black underneath because the Lancaster was predominantly a night bomber. This is where your retracts used to be on the Mark 1 or the V1, V2. They've taken them away on this one to make it much lighter and put this plastic panel over the gap. Now if you want, you can take this off and you can install retracts in it, so they sell them separately. I'm not sure what that does to the weight and I'm not sure what it does to the flying characteristics. Air scoops are real and the speed controllers are inside here. Tiny little outlet there. I think I will enlarge that so there's more airflow. Servo already installed. Need to center it. Hinge is foam on the aileron, very thin aileron. Horn already installed, but no push rod and linkage and clevis. You do that yourself. On the wiring for each wing, they have these two power wires with little, I think they're 4mm, but they might even be 2. I think these are 2mm bullet connectors. These are the male ones. And you have your throttle, one, and aileron. The other thing about these is one set of the motors rotate clockwise, the other set anti-clockwise, and I believe they spin into the fuselage, so these will be the clockwise spinning motors. Now that's important for when you install your prop, because you've got to make sure you've got the right prop on the right side, or the correct prop on the correct side, I should say. Yeah, it's very nice. Looks like it's got dual spars that go through here. And it doesn't look as if it's got any embedded spars. I don't know if it has. It doesn't look as if it has. That's the other wing. Now this paint definitely needs lacquer because I've literally taken that off just with a nail. It caught on and under it and it just scraped it off. So the paint will flake away really easily, which is a good thing when you need to remove the paint in order to glue, but not a good thing on the main parts that don't need gluing. So I will definitely be putting lacquer over this aircraft. Wings exactly the same. You've got an aileron connector, you've got a throttle, and you've got a positive negative power on 2mm bullets. Again, a plastic cover here that can be taken off and you can put retracts in. As I've said earlier in this video, I've no idea what that does to the weight, and I've no idea how our performance will change. But the previous versions, 1 and 2, had tip stall issues, and they had retracts. This one has been specifically designed to make it lightweight. They've cut a lot out in order to reduce the wing loading, in order to reduce the chance of those tip stalls. These will rotate counterclockwise into the fuselage. We've got lots of pieces in here. This reminds me of Durafly packaging, by the way. I couldn't say it's made by Durafly, but the packaging's the same. Okay, here we have our horizontal stabilizers. These need the paint stripping and then they glue into the fuse. Same as this end, the paint needs stripping off. Foam hinged, need working. They don't move very much, but they do need working a lot just to free them up. And they're not laminated, so I will be running some foam tack or U-Hoo pour along them. And of course you get 2 of those. Here's the other one in the bag. Nice panelling, nice camouflage. Be careful of the paint as you handle it until you've got a nice lacquer over it. Here's the props, 4 of them of course. 2 clockwise, 2 counterclockwise. I'm not sure what size they are. Let's take a look at one. There is no printing on the prop whatsoever to indicate its size or direction, but you can see where the scoop is. So this is a counter rotating prop. I'll have to measure from the tip to the centre to work out what size these are. Pitch I can't work because I don't have a pitch gauge. I've got a spare set of props coming. In fact, I've got 2 sets of props coming. Now the reason for that, regardless to what HobbyKing say on the promotion video for this version 3, I've seen version 1s and 2s come in on their belly, and they've had to keep the speed up because of the weight and the tip stall issue, and they've come in too fast and ripped all the props to pieces. Now on the basis that they've addressed that by reducing the weight significantly, it should be able to come in slower without breaking the props, but I didn't want to take that risk, so I've got 2 sets of props coming. Now they're coming from the European warehouse because the UK warehouse has run out. This particular model was model number 99 of a shipment of 116, and that's from the UK warehouse. Now I totally understand they might have more than 1 or 2 shipments of these, but if you're shipping in 116 into the UK and that's it, that's not many, and in fact HobbyKing have run out of these in the UK warehouse. So the only place they're available at the time of making this video was the European warehouse as far as being in Europe is concerned. Here is the vertical stabilizer and fake rudder. The rudder doesn't work on this, but it could easily be made to work. I've actually seen modifications where they embed a servo in the tail here on both of these and have them linked through a cable Y-lead. But it's got differential thrust on the motors, to be honest. So as long as you can set differential thrust up through your transmitter, it should be okay. That's quite nice, red with a stripe. I don't like Dumbo as a plane, and I'll explain that. This one's based on a plane called Dumbo. I much preferred the other planes, version 1 and version 2. Here's one out of the bag. As you can see, it's quite well moulded, well painted, but the paint is very flaky and easy to come off. So my suggestion is, as soon as you can, you coat these. Obviously not where you've got to take paint away in order to glue. Right, here's the goodie bag. This goodie bag has 4 spinners in it and 4 screws. So that's your prop spinner bag. This is your Bombay nose. Bomb aimer would look through this. It's vacuum formed. Nearly said vacuum sealed though, but it's vacuum formed, and therefore I believe if this part doesn't, the other parts have bits you have to cut off. So follow the instructions carefully, take care, and then they get glued on with canopy glue. So here, for example, is your tail gun turret. As you can see, that's just far too big at the moment. It's just a vacuum mould. So you will need to trim it and then fit it. Also, you need to put holes in this in order to mount the guns. So there's a bit of modelling to do with this one, which is nice. And here's a bag crammed packed with things. You've got Velcro. Here are the guns. Look at the little guns. Okay, here's your connector. So you've got your female 2mm connectors already on the end, which is brilliant because on the version 2 and 1 you had to solder them yourself, where this is good for people who don't have that capability. It's all wired in. You've got a Beck wired in there, which can go up to, that's why it's got the red. Yeah, it's good. Well, I dropped one, but there's a push rod with a clevis. There's no tubing, but that's no big deal. You can put your own tubing on. There's some Y leads in here. It's an aileron Y lead to join from each wing and then into your receiver. And I suspect this is the throttle Y lead, yep, from each side of the wing. So the motors are paired by the wing into your throttle. 2 screws and an Allen key. I'm not sure what the Allen key's for, but the 2 screws are to screw the wing in place into the fuselage. And then I've got another little push rod here. There's another little bag, and in this bag we have 2 clevises and a quick link on a servo. I'm not sure what that's for, either a servo or a horn. But we'll see when we do the build. There might be spares in here or parts that you don't need, and you only need to use them if you use the undercarriage, the retractable undercarriage. Here's some foam parts. These parts are, this is the tail gun. You can see the holes where the guns fit in once you've made the holes in the canopy. And this is, I believe it might be the top turret. I'm not sure. It could be the nose, but we'll find out when we build it. So here's the vacuum foamed part, which I believe is the nose. And as you can see again, it all needs cutting out, trimming, and then gluing in. And that's your top turret. And you can see where they painted where you need to trim it. You need to trim it down to that paint mark, I should think. But we'll see. This I just don't get. This I just don't get it. There's 8 bombs there, black. They don't go on the outside because the Lancaster didn't carry the bombs on the outside, so they've got to go in the bomb bay. But where are they going to go? And I'll show you what I mean later, and why provide them. Because they're black on black. The bomb bay's black. You're not going to see them unless you repaint them. And it's not as if the bomb bay can open when in flight, because there's no servo connections to it or anything. It's just held in place by magnet. I just don't get that part. It just seems completely redundant to me. So here are the 2 spars. One short one, one long one. Now these spars are solid, not hollow. Also, you need to measure the spar and mark the halfway point, because the spars are capable of sliding all the way down the wing. And what you need to be able to do is to slide half of the spar into one wing and prevent it from moving. And the best way of doing that is putting a bit of tape around it, equidistance. That means you can push it so far down and the tape will stop it. And as long as the tape itself is centered, you can then push the wing onto the other part of the spar and it'll stop at a certain distance as well. So they're equidistant along the wings and through the fuselage. I'm not sure why we got 2. There's probably one long spar at the front, one shorter spar at the back of the main wing. The horizontal stabilizer looks as though it has a spar already embedded in it. Then we come to the big part. Look at this baby. Oh yeah. Yeah, you can see here you can add that piece. If you really wanted to, I suppose you could make it pivot. This is where the top turret goes. Cockpit already glued on. Again, it seems a bit strange. They go to the effort of cutting the cockpit out and putting that on, but they haven't done the top turret, they haven't done the back turret, and they haven't done the front turret. Now that might be because you've got options. So if you're a real skilled modeler, you might be able to make this rotate, same as your tail. I don't know if that was the idea. Yeah, and they've got these clear plastic windows, nice mouldings. This is what I don't like. It's supposed to say Dumbo, but that looks like an O instead of a D. And it's just a sticker, but you remove that sticker and you've lost your black. So unless you can find the type of right black, but there again, if you get a black and spray it, and then put your lacquer over it, you shouldn't see much difference. So I'll be doing that. This is coming off on mine. Same as this side, this is coming off. Wings get pushed into there, both sides, spar runs through. It's quite a large aircraft actually, it's got quite a size to it. Bombay, I could moan all day about this, but the join is pretty poor. It's actually got gaps in there. You've got gaps here. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this is the wrong part, but I don't know. You've got a tab here and you can pull that off. It's got a carbon spar on the Bombay, and I think the reason for that is it's got a magnet somewhere, and I think the magnet is just here and here, and therefore by putting your tab here you are putting quite a bit of strain. There might be one and one here as well. So there might be two places it's got magnets, here and across the front. So by pulling on this part, you need that spar to give it some strength. So you see, this is inside the bomb bay. Why would you put bombs in there? It just doesn't make sense. And where would you put them? Now it looks to me as though down here and here are recesses to fit servos, and here you put your clevises. So it used to be designed so you could open the bomb bay with servos. That's been stripped out altogether, if ever it was in there. It's got a bay here for the battery. It's also got a big chunk of weight in the nose here. Now that's there for if you add retracts, and it's held in with some sort of glue. Apparently you need to take it out if you're not going to be using retracts. So it's got a bay here with a board and a Velcro strap for your battery. This is where the wings join. You screw the wings using those screws through there. But it's also got a battery bay here, which is quite unusual. I think this is for the days when you had retracts and servos for the bomb bay and the tail wheel, and you use a 2200 milliamp battery, which I plan to use on this one, so I'll see where it balances out. Where would you put those bombs, and why would you put those bombs? Maybe you'd glue them on top of these servos. Here, one there, one there. I don't know, I just don't know. Why? Servo missing here. That's been taken out to lighten things up, but they've left the push rod on. And this push rod is for your steerable tail wheel. So you can have it free casting if you like. So you can put retracts on it, use differential thrust to steer it, and just keep this as free casting. Or if you're hand launching it, to stop that waving around, just put a bit of tape on here just to hold it down, or a bit of hot glue. Because it's not going to be used really. All your wiring is going to come up in here. I've no idea, maybe now because these servos aren't here you could put your receiver somewhere down there or down there. I don't know, I'd have to see. Okay, so the moulding, PGD, well that was Dumbo's. So this is where your horizontal stabiliser gets glued in. If I can show you that, it's going to get glued in there. So you're going to have to push it in, mark it, take the paint off in there and glue it in. Just a bit of modelling. But yeah, it's good, and it's a Lancaster. And if you want a Lancaster, there's only one place currently where you can get, if you can get it, a Lancaster. And that is HobbyKing. But they don't have any in the UK anymore. I've dropped a spag. What does this bag say? Oh yes, and you actually get a Y lead. And here it says gear. So that is a lead that you use only if you have retracts. Now, of course, because I know HobbyKing, stocks dwindle extremely fast and their spares disappear. At the time I purchased this, whether I use them or not is debatable, but I've got a set of retracts. And in order to get free shipping, I also purchased a spare set of push rods and clevises, horns and wing joining screws. I didn't want them, they're cheap, add them to the retracts, free shipping. Made sense to me. When I build this to start with, I will not be using the retracts. I'll be using it as it's intended, which initially is a hand-launching lightweight heavy bomber. If I'm happy with that, it will stay like that. If I then decide comes a time that I don't mind if it tips, stalls and crashes, I will of course add the retracts and see if I can enjoy it with retracts. There's lots of videos out there of unboxings of this one because it is just released. There's lots of videos of builds. There's lots of videos of the maiden flights of this one because people get them sent free to basically publicise them. I couldn't do that. I had to wait until it was in the shops. So I purchased it. There it is. I'm happy that I can add a Lancaster to my model collection. It wasn't cheap. It was in the £130, £140 mark, but I had to have a Lancaster, didn't I? So there it is. I'm not sure whenever I'll get round to building it or when it'll be maidened. But thanks for watching. Stay safe, stay well, and I hope to see you on another video. Cheers.